Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie and this is Unity Consciousness. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm so glad you did. I'd like to welcome our new subscribers and also thank those of you who are returning for this week's energy update. Let's jump right in. Well, first of all, Happy New Year. We do have a new year coming upon us this week, and I do have to tell you, this is a new year that will be filled with profound shifts on the collective front as well as the personal front. We will have Neptune entering the sign of Aries, leaving its home sign, the last sign of the zodiac, very ethereal being, and going into Aries, which is a fire sign. Hopefully we will get to know our essence, and there's energy this week to help us with that as we integrate that energy, Neptune energy, from a collective standpoint into the sign of Aries. That's going to happen on the 30th of March, and then we have Saturn will be following, leaving the sign of Pisces and going into Aries near the end of May. Now, both of those planets will also retrograde over the course of the year and then re-enter the sign of Aries for a bit of time. So this cycle is going to be the entry, and much like what happened with Pluto, when Pluto went into Aquarius, give us a little flavor of what that energy is like, then go through the retrograde cycle so that we can kind of internalize some of the theories and learn some lessons, gather some things, internalize it so that when the planet comes out of retrograde and goes back into the sign of Aries, we can use that energy to our advantage. So again, big changes coming up, and even more importantly, we have a nodal axis shift. So the nodes go backwards through the zodiac, and the North Node will be entering the sign of Pisces. Let's see, I got that written down, on the 12th of January, and will be there until July 26th. Now, I always go and take a look back at the previous cycle so I can kind of tell what that North Node in Pisces meant to me. It is going to depend on what house sign is Pisces for you. And that will kind of tell you where the focus is for your North Node energy relative to the collective. Now, the previous cycle, the North Node was in Pisces June of 2006 through December of 2007. Prior to that, December of 1987 through May of 1989. Prior to that, if you're old enough to remember, April of 1969 through November 1970. Let's go back one more. That would be July 1950 through March 1952. All of these cycles are roughly 18-month cycles when the North Node was in Pisces, a very ethereal place of spiritualism, but also just knowing. And spiritualism coming from a place not necessarily of religion, but from that deep spiritual knowing of that inner guidance that we have. If you have if you lean into escapism, let's say, or lack boundaries, or are deceived easily, these could be kind of challenging times for you. So it's here for purpose, and we will embrace it as such. But let's jump into this week's energy. First and foremost, I want to thank Rob for the comment that he made last week. We are going to expand on that this week because the Jupiter-Saturn square is still with us. We spoke about it 2 weeks ago. We spoke about it last week. I don't want to come up with it again or speak about it again, but it's more of that same energy at the great conjunction in December of 2020, and this is the first quarter check-in. So that's still looming in the background. In addition, we still have Black Moon Lilith opposite Chiron in the sky, and that, speaks about the people-pleasing, everything that Rob was speaking about relative to the drama triangle, right? That we're trying to break free of. Now, why that's important also this week, today, Chiron goes direct in the sign of Aries. Now, Chiron is again the wounded healer. Chiron in the sign of Aries really speaks about victim consciousness, but when it is opposing Black Moon Lilith, in the sign of Libra, it is people-pleasing. It is, and on the Aries side, or the Chiron and Aries side, it's not being seen, not being heard, which leads to that, the drama triangle that Rob spoke of in his comment. Again, I thank you dearly for that. Now, Chiron going direct today is very interesting because Chiron is going direct at 19 degrees of Aries, which is where it was exactly last year on April the 8th, 2024. Please take a look at your calendar. I'm sure you'll remember it. It was when there was a new supermoon total solar eclipse in Aries. And Chiron, with precision to the exact degree and minute, was conjunct this energy. Now, typically they say that eclipse energy lasts for 6 months. I'm going to disagree this time and say, with Chiron being direct at the time of that new moon solar eclipse, it did shortly thereafter, within a week, it went retrograde, or entered shadow, for retrograde in July. So we have been unpacking that energy since Chiron's been retrograde in July. And because Chiron's direct today, still not out of shadow, but we are still unpacking that energy, especially because it was connected with that new moon energy, meaning the sun and the moon and Chiron were conjunct at the time with precision. You know, we have really been addressing healing the I am essence relative to victim consciousness in preparation for that very profound personal and collective shift I just spoke about, with first Neptune and then Saturn leaving Pisces and going into Aries. We are preparing for that massive shift, and it's happening soon. It's taking the I am essence, our I am essence, to the ethereal as Neptune moves in, and then we're going to be taking ownership and responsibility for any ego-centered, non-focused on the I am. There's a big difference between being self-centered and centered in the self. And Saturn, when Saturn enters Aries, it's going to really bust that open, so it will be very, very profound. In addition to Chiron going direct today at that very degree, midweek, Chiron will trine Mercury again. So what's interesting here is Chiron and Mercury, just in their general cycles through the zodiac, typically trine each other twice a year, right? Chiron moves slow, Mercury moves fast. This year, and I've looked forward for probably 5 years, I believe, they have been trining 6 times since Chiron went retrograde. Mercury's had 2 retrograde cycles, which it comes out of retrograde shadow on the 2nd this week, so we're cleared with contracts and all the rest of that. We can move forward with that. But because Mercury's had 2 retrograde cycles and Chiron's had 1 retrograde cycle, they have been in trine 6 times during this retrograde cycle. Mercury is working with Leo energy first, then Sagittarius energy, helping us understand wounding relative to the I am essence and everything related to the drama triangle. Look it up. Again, thank you so much, Rob. Now, in addition to Chiron trining Mercury, Mercury will also be sextiling Black Moon Lilith, creating another wedge of opportunity for this healing to occur, which I also love. That wounding, again, we'll reiterate, could have to do with self-sacrifice, people-pleasing, and being the rescuer. Look up the drama triangle if need be. It is it is profound. I made a copy of it, and I'm going to put it up on my wall to remind myself. But now we can put into words or actions. With Mercury now stepping into this, Venus has stepped out, Mercury stepping in. So now we can articulate. We can put into words or actions our lessons learned through our truth, creating and respecting boundaries for certain, and recognizing our truth and welcoming in the freedom and expansion that that brings. Mercury is out of shadow in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, providing us expansion with this realization. Very powerful energy. Let's get that I am healed. So as these planets roll into Aries, we can really enjoy the essence of those energies, and it will lift up the I am that exists in each one of our essences. On Monday, tomorrow, we are going to have a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. Interestingly enough, that new moon is ruled by Saturn. Guess where Saturn was with precision to the degree and minute? It's at the same degree that it was at the time of this new moon as it was on April 8th, 2024, at the time of that new super moon total solar eclipse in Aries. This is the first new moon since Pluto has vacated the sign of Capricorn. So we are building new foundations based on authenticity. This is Saturn. Intention, need, and effort based on that triad that Saturn has promoted, right? So we're going to use we have to come from an authentic intention to meet a need or create an effort that requires a need. And that's in full force now. That means that we can realize instant manifestation out of that triad of authenticity. That's very exciting to me. Now, Mars, which is retrograde in the sign of Leo, is going to trine the North Node in Aries. It goes to, I think it perfects on the 2nd, but nonetheless, it's operational at the time of this new moon. So that is integrating that being centered in the self that we've already talked about, without wounding though, right? Without wounding, because Chiron's direct. We've healed that. So that's allowing us to engage in heart-centered motivation even when faced with improper or out of balance power dynamics, because Mars is going to oppose Pluto this week. So Mars, retrograde in Leo, is going to trine the North Node, making it very easy energy, but that has to do with our essence. And then it's going to oppose Pluto. Now, let's talk about that. Leo's retrograde cycle, as we've spoken about before, is our ability to step away from the ego because we have healed this wounding. And by stepping away from that ego-based motivation, we can embrace heart-centered motivation. Leo to Cancer energy. And we are motivated by that compassion, by heart-centered actions. And by doing that, these egoic power plays that can take place will slide off you like Teflon. Won't even stick. Doesn't even matter at all. It won't even enter the orb of your reality because that wounding has been healed. This is extremely powerful energy. Brand new beginnings with all this energy packed into it that's being reinforced over the course of this week through Chiron, through Leo, retrograde, Chiron direct. We've got Saturn here talking about the triad of authenticity. Now, later in the week, we're going to have some complex energies, some quincunxes. I'm going to bundle them all together just because it's a lot to talk about. But the Sun in Capricorn will be Quincunx, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. That's, overthinking, over-evaluating our boundaries. So if you find yourself overthinking something and it has to do with a long-term commitment or a foundational issue, just stop. You don't get caught up in the trying to pivot too much. Do your best with that energy. Then in addition to that, we have Mercury, which is direct now in the sign of Sagittarius, is going to Quincunx Uranus, which is retrograde in the sign of Gemini, or excuse me, in the sign of Taurus. And this is about communications and truth, justice and freedom that can come in an instant, but it can be complicated. Could be complicated conversations even that you have to have, okay? Then finally, we've got Venus, which is in the sign of Aquarius, is going to Quincunx Mars retrograde in the sign of Leo. This is the cosmic lovers, and it's not copacetic energy. So again, relationship or money dynamics, maybe your motivation around them, and just some complexities that have to be worked through. So finally, we're going to wrap up the week with this brand new moon has moved on, and the Sun, which sits in the sign of Capricorn, is going to sextile Saturn direct in Pisces. We are now fully engaging in that triad of authenticity for long-term goals, and we are beginning to see success or be validated through leadership efforts, solid goals. We have now integrated compassionate understanding and just the right amount of drive, and now we're beginning to get some traction based on all of that. Well, that's all I have for you this week, and I knew it was going to be long. I'll try to do timestamps as I break it down, just in case you want to back up and get a little bit more about the drama triangle. Actually, I want to show you this in case you want to get a snap of this. I downloaded it after Rob's comment so I could look at it a little bit more. And this comes from coachbarrow.com, so we can give him credit for that wonderful, the drama triangle. The card that jumped out, I decided to use the Field Tarot because we've got so much complex energy and things are shifting. I wanted to use the Field Tarot, and this is by Hannah Elizabeth Fofana. The card that jumped out for us is the Prince of Wands. Speaking about Aries energy, let's see what the book has to say. Prince of Wands, instigation. This archetype is one who creates waves, takes risks, and projects confidence. His energy is harnessed through passion and motivation and is especially important in the pursuit of a vision. However, this hunger for the next adventure can mean failing to enjoy the present moment. Keywords here are action, adventure, enthusiasm, thrill-seeking, commitment, and charisma. And I do have to say, it's important to enjoy the journey. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you liked this video, do please click the like button. If you know somebody that could be helped by this video, please do share it with them. If you have any comments or suggestions, just like Rob did, I am all about quantum understanding and quantum sharing. This is unity consciousness. If there is a concept here that you would like to expand on, please post your comment below. I would enjoy that. I would love to dive a little deeper into it myself. Please help me by posting that comment. If you want to know when videos are being dropped, click the subscribe button. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I hope you have a fabulous week of integrating all of that new supermoon, total solar eclipse energy, getting that pushed out, integrating all of the lessons that we've learned, and harnessing the new moon, the new moon in Capricorn energy tomorrow. Namaste.